Hello everyone, welcome to BioShots, a platform that provides relevant and up-to-date study material and help you deliver better learning outcomes in your endeavor. So enhance your knowledge with me and empower yourself. I'm Neelam Mishra, going to talk about classification of biomass resources in this video. We are going to learn why biomass resources are considered renewable and what are the different criteria to classify biomass sources. As we discussed in the previous video, biomass, sometimes referred to as biorenewables, is a very broad term which is used to describe a range of organic materials of biological origin, both living and in waste form. Biomass is profusely available on a renewable basis because its inherent energy comes from sun through natural processes, or it can be made available as a byproduct of human activity. In recent years, focus is on identifying new prospective biomass materials. In this frame of reference, numerous crops have been proposed or being tested for commercial energy farming. So to start with the classification of biomass resources, we need to understand that due to substantial differences in terms of variety and quantity of biomass and the different compositional characteristics, there is no univocal way of categorizing these resources. Therefore, biomass resources can be grouped differently depending on the purpose and scope. The most common and simple way is to divide all the biomass materials into two main categories. The first category includes the type of biomass existing in nature depending on type of ecological vegetation. Accordingly, the biomass resources are divided into herbaceous, woody, aquatic, and animal and human-based biomass. The examples of each group are shown in the slide. The second category includes all the organic matter based on the use and application of biomass as feedstock. Since the type of biomass eventually dictates the most likely method of energy conversion process, an important issue here is what should be the most appropriate method to analyze the biomass resources. This is why researchers proposed a more precise system of classification based on physical and chemical properties of plant species such as chemical composition, molecular weight, thermal properties, structural strength, etc. This classification can also be a useful guide for choosing the appropriate biomass conversion technology. According to this, biomass sources are divided into primary biomass energy sources and secondary biomass sources. This classification is summarized in this slide, which also gives information about chemical composition and structural strength. Primary biomass materials are mainly derived directly from plants, whereas secondary waste biomass includes the otherwise unwanted or unutilized products of human activities. So now let's look at what types of biomass materials are considered primary. First, the woody biomass, which is currently the most important renewable bioenergy source in the world. Woody biomass include trees and roots, bark and woody shrubs, which are characterized by slow growth, contain high amount of lignin, and has a high structural strength. Next is cellulosic biomass, which comprises of non-woody plants rich in cellulose and are moderately strong. The most commonly known cellulosic bioenergy crops are grass species such as miscanthus, switchgrass, etc. These crops have an advantage over woody biomass in that they can be grown using normal farming techniques and are relatively easy to plow in the crop when no longer required, which allows the flexibility in land use. Sugary or starchy biomass is derived from herbaceous plants which contain simple carbohydrates like sucrose, glucose, starch, etc. Efficient exploitation of this biomass resource can lead to positive impacts on energy security, particularly in the transportation sector, as they form the important feedstock for the production of biofuels. Oily biomass, on the other hand, contains the storage materials in the form of oils or fats in seeds. Jatropha, oil palm, oilseed rape, soybean are grown widely for the oil that can be converted to a diesel substitute known as biodiesel. Another possible novel energy crop is represented by macroalgae or seaweeds, microalgae and cyanobacteria. These microorganisms have high concentrations of oils in their cells. The great advantage of using these simple organisms is their ability to grow under artificial culture conditions, resulting in the formation of considerably larger amounts of algal biomass per unit area compared to land crops. Aquatic biomass is also considered as an ideal raw material for the production of third generation biofuels. So now we move forward to discuss the secondary biomass resources, which comprises of materials resulting from the non-energy uses of biomass, usually discarded as waste, but they are also the potential sources of biomass for energy. Since they are co-products and residues arising from existing uses of biomass in forestry, agriculture, animal husbandry, households, industries, and are often collected and transported as part of the primary product supply chain, they tend to be cheaper than purpose-grown energy plants or dedicated forests. It is important to note here that while particular biomass species may have specific benefits for subsequent processing technologies, the amount of energy potentially available from a given biomass is the same irrespective of the conversion technology that we use. Scientists have also emphasized that variation in the physical and chemical properties of biomass materials may be critical to the final product of the bioenergy system, but it is also true that many of today's commercial bioenergy plants around the world have resulted from the niche market opportunities within the forest, agriculture farms, food processing industry, and other industry sectors where on-site biomass feedstocks are available. What does this mean? Let me explain. Bioenergy is sustainable only if the entire production chain, that is feedstock availability, refining, conversion processes, and end-use products are sustainable. From this point of view, industries working with various biomass conversion technologies and formation of modern products such as syngas and ethanol gel have suggested a new method of classification of biomass resources according to the supply sector. These four major groups are forestry, agriculture, industry, and waste. All over the world, these sectors are the main suppliers of the biomass feedstock, which can be processed either to make briquettes, bioenergy, or simply the carbon building block compounds. The global potential of bioenergy production based on forestry, dedicated forest, forest byproducts, and dry lignocellulosic crops is huge, and these can provide the biomass materials to maintain the supply chain. Similarly, the agriculture sector can also provide both the primary and the secondary waste biomass resources in the form of energy crops, agricultural residues, and livestock waste for the energy sustainability. On the other hand, the use of biogenic industrial and municipal waste and residues has the advantage of causing very little competition with existing land-based forest and agricultural crops. It involves no greenhouse gas emissions from land use changes and cultivation. So this is all about the various classification system of biomass resources we have covered in very detailed manner in this lecture. I hope you would find this useful to answer questions related to this topic. Please visit my website for multiple choice questions, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe the channel for more informative videos. Continue watching BioShots. Thank you for your attention.